violence, just like the Orlando massacre, was Islamic terrorism. This was leftist terrorism. It's not about gun control. It's about a dominant culture that since before Trump was even elected has greased the skids for left-wing domestic terrorism. How many times have you heard me warn that the media, the left, and Hollywood's rampant anti-Trump hysteria was legitimizing violence against conservatives? Loretta Lynch talking about blood on the streets.
They've marched. They've bled. Yes, some of them have died. This is hard.
Kathy Griffin mock beheading Trump. New York Times sponsored theater productions where Trump is assassinated. The media applauding the whole punch a Nazi movement. Almost exactly a year ago, crazed left-wing lunatic Michael Sanford tried to assassinate Donald Trump at a rally in Las Vegas after he grabbed an officer's gun. And the media barely even reported on it. Celebrities envisioning anti-Trump violence over and over again. It's time to take some responsibility. This is your fault. What do you think's going to happen when you relentlessly signal to deranged crazies that Trump and his administration are committing treason and are illegitimate? This, exactly this. This is the context in which the shooting took place. And guess what? Leftists were more outraged about me pointing out these facts than they were other leftists celebrating the congressman being shot. Let that sink in.
And now more than ever, pray for America, pray for the world, pray for President Trump, pray for me, pray for my family. I've seen God working, and I've seen how every time the enemy hits us harder, we just get stronger. And it makes me sick to see our country fallen this far. To be in the hands of these wicked globalists, how they're attacking our families, how they're promoting sexualization of young children. I mean, you see them on the news. You see them on Nickelodeon. You see MTV. You see MTV promoting murdering innocent white people and all this race baiting. I mean, these are horrible. The Muslims celebrated the tower burning up, even though a bunch of Muslims died, saying, oh, good, I hope the West all burns down yesterday in England. I mean, it's just a bunch of existential envy losers who hate the West and who hate honor and who hate strength. And Trump has done nothing but deliver. The guy has such courage. He's so amazing, going to the hospital last night with the congressman fighting for his life still. And they're all over the news just celebrating this and saying, we need more, kill more. And nothing's being done because the government is still hijacked. And Trump has this precarious beachhead. But again, look how far we've come. This is the fight. We're going to win, people. Trump may fall. I may fall like the Alamo. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to live forever because the Republic's going to live on and humanity's going to move on and have greater destiny because we're being men in our age. So I want to thank you all who've supported us over the years and who've prayed for us because we are now under the full globalist assault. And again, the remorseless left, it's all over the news, is celebrating. They're saying more death. They are drunk on the blood of all the aborted children. They are just absolute demons. Dr. Corsi, thanks for coming in to pop in and tell us what's coming up at the bottom of the next hour when you join us with some of the other guests while you're down here in studio with us, our Washington bureau chief. You've heard me break this down. You have said that the next civil war is starting. They're initiating it, and that this indicates from your psychological warfare training at the State Department and other areas that they are preparing to commence basically paramilitary operations against the Republic. And you said that on Monday, and now we're seeing it.
Well, and Donald Trump is in the fight of his life. This is about impeachment. If the left, the far left, the hard left, the Bill Ayers left, violent, cannot impeach Trump, they will assassinate him. And what we're going to do is we're going to start the deconstructing of the deep state so people understand exactly how it works and how Donald Trump needs in this hour to understand what JFK did not understand, and that this is a serious threat, and the hard, vicious, violent left intends to win. I'm confident Donald Trump's going to win with the help of God and all those out there who are going to stand behind Donald Trump and defend the United States of America and the Constitution, because this is our freedom at stake. If we lose this battle, we lose the Republic. And Donald Trump, we've got to be blessed to have him there, because Donald Trump, when he catches on to this and fully understands it, will fight back and will win. I'm confident of that. We need to deconstruct the deep state in order to help him.
Well, Dr. Corsi, again, you're in the studio, but I'm looking at you on a camera here. I don't think I've ever seen you get tears in your eyes on air. Do you have tears in your eyes right now?
This is a very emotional subject for me because as a kid, I was around Jack Kennedy a lot. I was around a lot of the people that tried to warn Jack Kennedy he was going to be killed. And he just, quite frankly, never really took it all that deeply. I mean, he understood it. Jack Kennedy had Addison's disease. He had a congenital spine ailment. He had to take massive shots of amphetamines every day in order to be able to walk. He did not want to end his life in a wheelchair. He had a very different perspective than Donald Trump, who just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday. And we hope he's going to have many more. And I think Donald Trump is in this battle to win, where John Kennedy, unfortunately, realized he'd already lost.
That's right. And let's be clear. We cannot stress to you the peril the country is in. As I told Stone that night when Trump won, I said, the real war just started, brother. I knew it intellectually. I could feel it in my gut. And I could feel what was coming down. I told my wife 2 weeks ago, I said, baby, stuff's going to get about 50 times worse. She said, I'm standing by you. I understand that. And I told her, I said, down the road, I haven't got around telling my kids this yet, but, you know, I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm very honored, but they want to destroy us in front of everybody to try to scare people. And I'm not scared. I just want the listeners to stay strong and stay focused. We can't turn our kids over to all these pedophiles and devil worshipers and communists and Muslims. And that's what they are. They just are a bunch of scum, and they hate us because we're good. And they know we love God. And so we need to pray to Christ for discernment and for strength, and that his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So I think I'm going to come back with the Lord's Prayer after this break. But we're here. We're in the fulcrum, and this is it. So we now have Scalise, who we learned weeks ago, is coming out saying we're going after the pedophiles. Then this happens. Here's the clip.
One of America's greatest values is our strong belief in the inherent worth of every human life. Human trafficking is a direct assault on this core value, and it affects millions of victims throughout the world. While many of us would like to believe that this issue isn't something that affects us, the sad truth is that human trafficking is a real problem plaguing each and every community here in the United States. Enough is enough. This week, the House took strong actions to stand up for the victims of human trafficking, passing tough bills to provide them protection and to target child predators. Let's work together to get these bills signed into law.
And there were over 400 pedophile arrests in his state just alone the last year. Now, again, you've got Huffington Post writers. It's all up on InfoWars.com saying, you know, it's time for organized resistance. You've got other writers, major papers saying, you know, too bad there weren't more of this guy. He's a big super fan of Rachel Maddow. This is where this is all going. And then where's the false flag? That would fit nicely into their narrative to make themselves the victims. But I don't think they care. They have this weird bloodlust, and they want a civil war. HuffPost writer, violent resistance needs to be organized for it to work. Again, too bad, you know, only 5 people were shot. And, you know, Scalise is fighting for his life. This is a terrible situation. So, and I love how it's people that have never probably been in a fist fight. It's like the wimpier the person. I've been around these libs in person. I mean, they look like they've had lobotomies. Seriously, I'm not being mean. They all have like motor function problems and stuff. I don't know what happened. They were like locked in a basement when they were kids, abused. What? They want war. They want the rite of passage, but they don't want to join the military to do it. They don't want to be a firefighter or a cop. They just want war. They want death. They want murder. And now every channel, again, I'm worse, you know, than a killer. I'm like Saddam Hussein. They misrepresent what I've said. They write articles about resistance, past, present, and future. How they're the resistance as the big banks and the multinationals all pile on against an attempt to just not completely gut and bankrupt the country. And so they're everywhere condoning violence, pushing it. This is organized crime. This is racketeering. Matt Bracken, what do you make of the situation where we're currently at? Because you've been accurately predicting this, and they are really gearing up for it. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Well, the left-wing mainstream media is absolutely instigating it. You could almost say stage managing it, you know, with the help from the Democrats in Congress. Gateway Pundit has a great story up today about the New York Times article in April 12th this year.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday where they advertised where they are and that there's not much security.
Right. So for a guy like Hodgkinson, who left Illinois as a killer. You know, he left Illinois to get in striking range of his enemies so that he can be the John Brown of the new resistance, the John Brown of the new Civil War. Obviously, he would have no luck with a white, van parked outside of the White House. But the New York Times handed him the information. This is where to go, where they'll have very minimal security. It said, maybe some Capitol Police sitting in a black SUV at the ballpark. Well, that gives you another, 350 degrees of a big fenced-in area away from the black SUV where you can take your shots from. So clearly he, I'm sure that if the FBI, they were doing their job, they would have the cookies on his computers and his smartphones would show that he had read this article, probably, saved the article. And that's why he was living at that YMCA out of his van, keeping an eye on that park. So the New York Times should get an assist on this hit. They absolutely should get credit for it.
Sure, I mean, they were the intel office.
And it's so ironic because the paragraph above the paragraph where it says, that they are practicing at this field, it said, well, security officials are very cautious about giving out details because they, say it could compromise security. And in the next paragraph, the New York Times says, wink, wink. But if you really wanted to get a bunch of congressmen without much security, here's where you would do it. And sure enough, that's where Hodgkinson went to shoot these guys.
What do you make of even CNN's Wolf Blitzer going to a person they interview, so it's prepared, and they admit they're going to this clip, and he says he wasn't a monster, he wasn't evil, he was just upset about politics, and then Blitzer just pretty much agrees with him. I mean, don't they understand that if this kicks off, that they are asking for it? I mean, what is Blitzer going to do if somebody walks up, God forbid, and pumps rounds into his head when he's and just says, hey, this is just, sorry, Blitzer, it's just politics, no big deal.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, CNN, we know what they are, but going back to the New York Times for a moment before we get to the Washington Post, the other fingers of this machine, the New York Times today is blaming Sarah Palin for yesterday.
That's right.
They're going back to they weren't even crosshairs, they were surveyors marks. The congressional district thing, the guy down in Arizona, he was a lunatic that had been planning to kill, like a Robert De Niro taxi driver kind of character.
Sure, he took hallucinogens every day, according to his friends. It was in another world.
And he had been planning it for years, way before, he didn't even know who Sarah Palin was.
And he was a devil worshiper. He was a devil worshiper, had a devil worship altar in his backyard. Exactly. And I predicted this yesterday that they would blame the Gabby Giffords thing and say, oh, you Republicans are this. No, the difference is Republicans weren't saying go out and kill Democrats. That's the difference.
And not only that, imagine if Fox News or Breitbart or InfoWars had done an article on Hillary Clinton's security, and in this article about Hillary Clinton's security, mentioned, let's say, a tennis club she liked to go to with only a close friend.
Exactly. Oh, here's where Hillary, goes once a week to play bridge, right here at the corner of this. There's not much security. There'll just be one car. So if you just come into the alley, you can get her right there.
Right. So for the New York Times to blame Palin. By
the way, let me stop you because you're a former Navy SEAL and involved in clandestine operations in the Middle East and a lot of other areas. You know this. A lot of folks don't know this. Back in the Cold War, the Russians would have operatives in publications, so would we, and would actually put orders in the paper. Well, this isn't even where, this paragraph, that paragraph, put it together. This is open commands in public that a 5-year-old could tell. This is openly putting the intel out there.
Right. This is on a silver platter. This is saying all of you triggered lunatics, since everybody from Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to the talking heads on ABC, CNN, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post, all of these guys have been saying Obamacare is being repealed to kill people. They want to kill grandma. They want to kill your children. They're basically sending a signal to these lunatics by comparing Trump to Hitler on a daily basis.
Sure, and then showing him being killed in plays and killed on TV and killed everywhere. Kill, 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 kill. But historically, though, I know there's a globalists and elites behind this that want to cause a civil war here. They're using known Soros tactics and others, and it's admitted Soros is involved. They've got this big summer of rage geared up, kill the cops, kill everybody. But don't the little minions of this realize if it actually kicks off historically, it's not going to go well for them? I mean, I think they're really mistaken.
No, they don't get it. leftists primarily are first-level thinkers. They are like goldfish in a goldfish bowl. They realize that, it gets dark and light at that window over there and food gets dumped in over here. They're first-level thinkers. If you want to cure poverty, tax the rich and give money to poor people. That's how you cure poverty. Pure first-level thinking. So the Wolf Blitzers of the world, which are not high IQ people, they're just news readers, what they call them in England, news readers. They only are looking at this from the point of view of, my bosses want to get rid of Trump, so they're handing me headlines to read to help get rid of Trump. They're not thinking, if I'm helping to instigate a dirty war where we're doing not just a dog whistle, this is like a cowbell for lunatics.
Oh, yeah, a lot of these people, they're calling for violence. If this all kicks off, they're going to be up there with that helicopter ride to nowhere. Right,
or it's just going to be, somebody like in my first novel where a couple of attorneys just have their own local, the senator that lives in their neighborhood pre-registered as a target. So there are a lot of people that have done their own, local area target analysis that if the balloon goes up, these are some people that I'm going to take out. And I have no doubt that exists on both sides.
Absolutely. But they're exactly, these people are crazy. And I'd say about 90% of the veterans are on the Republic side. And I think 90% of the police, correct me if I'm wrong, that is a disastrous scenario for these idiots.
And not only that, so you've got current police, which means that they have the encoded radio frequencies. They can listen on a law enforcement scanner and break through the encryption because they're like, deputy or part-time sheriffs, things like that. They've got former experience in Afghanistan and Iraq, so they know all about, how to do coordinate search, how to do social network analysis to find the bomb maker that never touches the bomb. They know how to do this, and when this all kicks off, it's going to be mayhem. And these idiots on the left...
Stay right there. They're going to cry for mommy. Matt, this is a short segment, longer segment coming up. Just as this fits in to them trying to start a civil war, we'll talk about that in the next segment. Why do you think InfoWars and yours truly is under such attack? But they won't really ever show what I said, or it's edited. In fact, there's an order out in media, it's so controlled, never to actually show what I say. There's a story on InfoWars.com where Hollywood Reporter interviewed me and actually had quotes, and then the higher-ups killed it, and then I talked to other people in media, and they said, no, you're not allowed now to even have quotes in the media. So it's next-level control, too, that they're exercising in this weird civil war where we've got the president, we've got most of Congress, we got the states and the governors, but the deep state, the bureaucracy, like I guess, corrupt employees or something that tell the boss they're the owner now. This is a hijacking, Matt Bracken.
Well, it just shows that, you're hitting them hard, and there's a new paradigm. The great cartoonist Ben Garrison has a cartoon out the last few days or a week showing the new media asteroids coming down on the dinosaur media, and they're feeling it. This is the deep state's existential moment. If Trump succeeds, they're finished, and a lot of people will go to prison. Not only, Hillary and all of the people involved in her illegal top secret server, but these pedophile rings, and you just go down the list. And hundreds murdered in Fast and Furious. The media helped cover it up. So the media have the blood of Fast and Furious on their hands just as much as the ATF and the Department of Justice, Eric Holder, those people. So for them, this is an existential moment. So we're seeing right now a box move, like a trap that was built for Trump. And I don't see how he gets out of it. It's going to be very difficult to get out of this, where obviously it's now obvious to me that Rosenstein, his part of this job, was writing that letter to instigate the firing of Comey, and that's the trap being sprung. And so you've got Rosenstein saying that Mueller will not be taken off the case no matter what, and that Trump can't do it. So you've got Comey, Mueller, Rosenstein, and McCabe, the acting, who's the big Democrat.
And they're violating the unitary executive clause that still is the law. Congress has usurped that with the FBI.
Right. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they do as long as they control the media narrative. Alan Dershowitz, who is maybe one of the leading minds and a liberal Hillary voter, he's been clear on this, but it just doesn't matter. they're still running with this obstruction of justice narrative, even though there's no crime.
The Russia thing wasn't true, but just like they always, the FBI always gets people, then in the investigation they find a crooked toenail or something, and so they're going to claim that the president ordered it to stop.
Yeah, that's the Martha Stewart paradigm. There was no crime, so they got her for, saying an untruth about a crime that never happened or something.
And they're so arrogant that once they take Trump out, they plan to shut down the media, arrest people, and have a red terror. I mean, good luck, scum. We'll be back. Matt Bracken, former Navy SEAL, best-selling author, is here. He has eerily, I only knew about this guy about 2.5 years ago. People, smart folks, said this is who you should be listening to. We can't give you a lot of classified info, obviously. People still in the government, but this guy's on target with his analysis in the books he writes. So now I consider him a friend and a great guy here with us, predicting the false flag of everybody from the Huffington Post writers to you name it, celebrating, saying too bad it wasn't coordinated. Wolf Blitzer having a guy on saying this guy wasn't evil, he was just mad. I mean, Dr. Corsi, you've been saying they're preparing people for the president to be killed. They have this college of cowards feeling powerful together. I don't think they realize they lost the election. They miscalculated. Clearly, historically, they're going to lose. If you look at the cultural topography, the sociology, the anthropology of America, they've taken libertarians, conservatives, veterans, and others' restraint as weakness, as we have made a major preparation in information warfare to counter them with the truth, while others have been making preparations to physically defend very decisively. Where would you say we are benchmark right now?
Just at the very beginning, the left has not done their most shocking types of violence yet. I mean, I'm going to just go back to the left. And remember, National Socialist Nazis were left. The Reichstag fire, all staged, burned down by Hitler.
The French Revolution was the first left movement.
Precisely. And the shocking violence is yet to occur. This violence is just a warm-up. This is just the initial phase of the violence.
They're probing.
Yeah, but the violence is going to be planned, that is in the works, is going to be shocking, catastrophic, a 9/11 type catastrophe, a blowing up of a national monument, some hugely important and disturbing.
I think they might set a nuke off during the State of the Union.
I'm not sure. I mean, anything you can imagine. The left. This is the Bill Ayers left. This is the...
So let me ask you again. I understand he needs to fire all these people, take control, address the nation. We're in a civil crisis. They've started a war. Start arresting some of the people that are organizing this in the media. Show what they've done. I mean, I'm not a fascist guy. They're the ones calling for death and murder. They're the ones beating people up all over the country. And I mean, we can't just sit here and take this.
Well, let me explain a couple things in terms of...
Isn't it best for the president to launch the counterstrike?
Yeah, that's what he's got to do next. Trump has got to counterattack. Now, first of all, let's realize that... First, I'll give an example. During the campaign, Trump was being pressed to release his taxes, and he said, I'm not going to do it. Okay, and he said, here's why I'm not going to do it. I've already disclosed all my financial statements. That's much more revealing than my taxes. The issue went away. Okay, now, the issue's got to go away again. This whole idea that Trump, it's morphed. The Democrats, the far left, could not prove the Russian collusion, so they dropped it. And it's morphed now into obstruction.
And you said this weeks ago.
Yeah, and the obstruction, here's the deal with the obstruction. First of all, President Trump can't obstruct the Department of Justice. He has the authority to order Mueller to be fired. He has the authority to order Mueller to stop investigating. The remedy is impeachment. And the Democrats know they can't impeach Trump. They don't have the votes in Congress. They don't control the committees. Impeachment's out of the question. So what they're going to try to do is prolong this obstruction meme and try to get it to have legs so that they have new things to talk about every day. If Trump just comes out and says, look, I'm going to take a hit for it. I'm going to fire Mueller. This is my authority. If you don't like it, impeach me. Go ahead. There's the Congress. Impeach me. Do it.
Exactly. He can't sit there and let them make up their whole fake Russia narrative that's now failed and then make up obstruction when he's just been completely open. And then Comey admits he didn't order him to stop. And so they're just trying to find somebody else that'll give false testimony now to cobble it together. Let me go to Matt Bracken on that. But let me also just add, here's Tom Brokaw. I want to get this clip, guys, if you don't already have it. Tom Brokaw slams Alex Jones. He says he is a racist. I mean, what the hell is this? Let me, I don't want to be selfish here, but I'm asking you because you work for InfoWars, you're in the middle of this.
Right.
You know, we know each other like 15, 16 years.
Right.
Why are they so after me? What is going on?
Because, Alex, the plan was that if Hillary won, you were going to be shut down. They'd already started the fake news meme that was out there. They were clearly going to say, once they had control of the White House, that you were done. They were going to prosecute you. They were going to argue that you committed some kind of a crime.
Oh, yeah, we had that from the Justice Department.
They're going to shut you down. They'd investigate. And then you'd go and a bunch of others would go. Anyone who is not in lockstep with the CIA-funded media, who is not in lockstep with an Operation Mockingbird since the 50s type of the approved press, the CNN, New York Times.
I mean,
Washington
Tom Brokaw,
Post.
known Operation Mockingbird, said, I am a pure and unadulterated racist, unalloyed. He said, I am a pure, in fact, let's just play this clip, folks. You have to understand, I was told by the Trump administration when they were even in transition, and of course this came out, I was told days before that Nancy Pelosi was saying that I wanted to kill her and her daughter and was demanding Loretta Lynch arrest me. She doesn't even know who the president is. She said, I'm not being mean. She literally is senile. Other congressmen think islands are floating. That's what's dangerous is these people are crazy. They're in power. There's a conspiracy against the Republic. But what's dangerous is they don't realize how crazy this is if they try to kill me or arrest me because everybody sees what's going on. And then I was told, and then the day after, I didn't say it on air, Pelosi's daughter came out and said, Alex Jones is death threatening me. And imagine, I'm talking to the president's crew. They're going, yeah, they're trying to have you arrested right now. They're having meetings in the Justice Department. And, you know, the transitioning attorney general's, you know, already telling them this is insane. The lawyers at the Justice Department told them no. And I'm telling you, they're so whacked out, they want to arrest me.
They don't believe in the First Amendment. They don't want you to be broadcasting or me or any of it.
But what is it? What is it that scares them so much? The guest, I think, and the fact that we know their game plan and that we're not. I mean, what is it? Matt Bracken, Matt?
It's sheer desperation. They're cornered. Their fury is actually, in a way, a good sign, because when they feel in control, you never see this desperation. You know, their hair is looking nice, the makeup, there's no sweat popping out. They're desperate. You're going to Megyn Kelly, it's evident. In the last month, your name is not to even be spoken on TV. That's the new thing, not even to mention your name. The new code for Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist who is making millions of dollars by telling lies. That's the new meme.
Yeah, that's going to be the show.
Meme.
And we do, quote, make millions to fund this. They make billions to fund their lies. We make millions to fund it.
But Megyn Kelly's sin, her overarching sin, was she broke the taboo. She was not only going to mention your name, she was going to put your face on television. And millions of people that have never heard of Alex Jones would have heard of you. So her sin was breaking this embargo and actually mentioning your name.
But I think that's the setup, because none of them ever, all of a sudden, a bunch called at the same time she called, like 50 outfits. I think they shut it up, then they're burning her, having the cake, eating it too.
Well, they're burning her, but her way of getting back into their good graces is to re-edit the 4 hours of footage, you know, to turn you into a monster. It's obvious. But they don't control the entire media anymore. Now, this morning, Trump sort of went on the attack, talking about the pivot from Russian collusion to obstruction of justice.
Yeah, let's get that clip, guys.
He needs to go much further, though.
He needs to say, how dare you liars? Hillary's in bed with the Russians and the Chinese, and now you make up collusion. You people wanted to, he needs to go after them with his bully pulpit now, not while they develop this case.
And with specifics, and a great specific. This is like...
Let me ask you this, though. What can the FBI agents do themselves? Because it's this paradigm thing. If you go back to Cleon Skousen and all these guys that were good FBI guys.
The FBI is too slow. When you're talking about what FBI agents can do, you're talking about months from now. The news cycle is
No, but I understand, but I'm saying it's this paradox where there's bad FBI on top, but then the rank and file people are patriots generally. What do they do? What do government people do right now watching the Civil War, knowing that
they would have to leak the investigation files that they've got on Hillary. That's what they would have to do.
But see, they're conservative, so they don't break the law. The left is doing it.
They have to now. They have to now, and their boss has basically approved it because their boss is leaker numero uno.
That's right. When they've already set the precedent, you have a responsibility. I agree.
But the trumpet, the clarion that can be blown, the note that can be blown right now, today, by Trump, face to face with the camera. He was all Mr. Nice Guy yesterday talking about the baseball shooting, but he can say the New York Times drew a map for assassins. The New York Times.
They gave the target vector.
They gave all the loose lunatics a map on where to.
But isn't that the target vector to even show who the target is and where they are?
And their lack of security. Put them on the defensive. Don't respond. Attack. There is a lot to attack them for. Sure, you can go all the way back. Fast and Furious. Hillary's server. Yes, we got it.
WikiLeaks. We've got it. That's what I'm saying to the audience. It's full attack. And talk about financially. They're going to hit us. They're trying to sue us. They're trying to shut us down. They got the Islamicists after us. That's their main fifth column. Folks, when you buy these great products, we need to be flooded with money to let them know that we're not demoralized. We're growing. I want Matt Bracken to do a show. I'm trying to get all the studios built, everything set up right now. I want to launch 18 hours a day. I may just do it even low tech without the new studio being built. We've got to launch soon because I know this is the launch time. Dr. Corsi?
Well, we've got to launch soon, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. Really do expand the Washington Bureau to figure out a game plan where we can staff up and expand. I mean, the powers of the presidency are enormous. They're huge. And Donald Trump's got...
And they're calling for civil war. He has to launch a counteroffensive.
And he's got to clean out the White House of all the Obama, Clinton people. Fire Priebus. I've been saying this now for a month. Fire Priebus. And then fire a bunch more.
You know, he's been right up to the edge doing that 3 times. Why hasn't he done it yet?
Because he comes in, they come in and tell him, oh, this is going to happen if you do this. This is all the bad things the left is going to say in the New York Times. They're going to...
look, they're just discrediting him with the Russia obstruction. They're planning to kill him, like you said. You're a smart guy. Why did your gut tell you they're getting ready to kill him? I want to talk to Matt Bracken about it.
Because it's the same thing that was done to John Kennedy. It was the same kind of setup. The deep state wanted to go to war in Vietnam. They wanted to go to war in Laos, and Kennedy wouldn't do it.
And now they want to teach 5-year-olds how to be trannies.
And they were running the CIA has been running the drug trade out of Southeast Asia since before World War II. They didn't want to end the drug trade. There's too much money.
That's right. Matt Bracken, do you agree with Corsi? They're really trying to precondition the public so they don't panic when Trump gets his head blown off?
Yeah, and just the way that it's sort of lost in the shadow of 9/11, but the day of 9/11 or the day before, the guy named Massoud, I believe he was called the Lion of the Panjshir Valley. He was a patriotic Afghan. He was killed by a false photojournalist crew with batteries that were explosives. And so when you see guys with cameras and, you know, big battery packs, there's no way, X-rays or otherwise, to know a lithium-ion battery that's the size of D cells, a bag of D cells, that they're not full of explosives. It could even take out Air Force One because they bring these pool reporters through, and who knows?
That's right. Stay there. Exactly.
They've demonized anyone who believes in America, anyone who supports the Constitution. We're demonized. And so therefore, on their leftist agenda, which doesn't believe at all in any First Amendment, Second Amendment, any of the constitutional rights, they want to get rid of it. They want a revolution that will produce, as Barack Obama said, this fundamental change, which means socialism, means communism. That's where they're headed. And they don't want any opposition. So you, of course, have to be branded in all their terms. Look, we're the deplorables. Hillary said it.
It's just so crazy to see Tom Brokaw, who 20 years ago would show clips first. He just says, I am a pure racist, when everybody can do a search and knows that the black racists and white racists all hate me because I'm trying to bring us together. Matt Bracken, we're going to break. Do 5 more with us. But, I mean, what do you make of this?
Brokaw is classic because he's a CIA Operation Mockingbird stooge. You wind him up and he says WMDs. So, you know, he's got no credibility. Bringing him out as an elder statesman is like bringing out Dan Rather. It's just a sign of desperation.
Why do you think they're so desperate?
Because they see that they can lose this whole thing. They can be you know, wiped out, politically speaking.
Don't they get destroying us makes us even stronger? I mean, I don't want it to happen flesh-wise, but spiritually fine. I mean, let's come back and talk about that, because historically I've studied this. I want to get Matt Bracken's take on that, and then Dr. Corsi will keep riding shotgun with us. Don't they get that they are losers? I mean, they're in deep trouble, folks. We're not just saying that. I mean, Dr. Corsi said they're back in 70 seconds. We'll get Matt Bracken's final comment, enemiesforeigndomestic.com. We're InfoWars.com. We need your support. We're under enemy attack. This is an epic moment that they're so afraid of us and so afraid of Trump and are panicking. Don't they get they've been rejected? They can destroy leaders in the resurgence of America, but they cannot destroy the spirit if the people understand that. Closing comments, Matt Bracken.
Well, it's the most massive gaslighting operation in history. They did the full-out gaslight to get Hillary elected, and it wasn't enough. That's why they're in total panic mode now, because they're 100%, full throttle gaslight operation, this media operation. It didn't snow us, and we're still coming at them, and that's why they're in panic mode right now.
That's right. You were just saying during the break what he just said. We're deconstructing. We're exposing the compartmentalization. It's not left or right. They don't want their own people knowing what's going on. Our guests, our experts, we have the very blueprint that only top globalists have, and that's why they're so upset. Is that Trump's following the new Americana blueprint. We're aware of it. We're exposing their blueprint. That's freaking them out.
It's back to they can't handle the truth. And the truth is coming out. They're beginning to understand that day by day, we're taking their lies. We've been through 8 years of a lying Obama administration. We have $20 trillion in debt. We've got the highest amount of tax revenue ever being raised, and yet we're not able to balance the budget. We still have a deficit. We got to get rid of the GOP elite, too. Remember that Trump's enemies are all around him. It's also the Paul Ryan until Trump gets a hold of
a bunch of sycophantic cowards.
Right.
I don't want to be reverent of Trump, but I mean, think of the courage, what he's done, what he goes through, the cowards around him. Matt Bracken, what is it like for you as a veteran, a patriot, to see somebody like Trump? I mean, I don't want to be gushing, but I think we ought to thank God for Donald Trump.
Well, he's very rough around the edges. Obviously, he's got a lot of flaws, but I'll tell you what, he's like Atlas, and he's. Who else can go in to drain the swamp but a real ultimate cage fighter? Mitt Fauntleroy III was never going to do anything but go to the cocktail circuit. That's the Paul Ryans, the Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, they just get off on that. They're in the elite. Screw everybody. Trump's different.
Absolutely, the Lindsey Grahams. They're just as afraid of Trump as the Democrats. I think, and I totally believe this, the Republicans want to be the minority party. It's a lot more comfortable. You still get to go to the cocktail parties, but nobody calls you a racist.
Exactly. They're the opposite of leaders, and they're scared that Trump isn't afraid to die. They're scared of the return of men. Final comment, Matt Bracken.
Yeah, well, I'd just like to mention my new book, my new novel, Red Cliffs of Zerhoon. It's about sex slavery, child sex trafficking. It's already up. I've uploaded it on Kindle, but I'm going to wait till the print edition is out in a couple weeks. But
and by the way, that parallels real world massive sex trafficking with our little Islamic buddies. So please come on in the next week to do a full hour on the book, Matt.
Yeah, and that's why the left is so in line with Islam. They're both evil. They both are completely willing to traffic children.
It's a religion of pedophiles.
Sex slavery. They're allied in that sense.
Don't you think that the congressman was probably targeted specifically?
I don't know. He was at second base. It might have just been one of those lucky things like, Oswald having a job at the book depository.
By the way, the word is
sometimes
his organs
the wheels just line up.
We need to pray for the congressman because the word is it tore up a bunch of his organs and stuff. He's a tough guy, but it hit him good.
Yeah.
He's fighting for his life right now. And
they're celebrating. They're celebrating, hoping he dies. I hate these people that live off the backs of hardworking Americans. They aren't even ready to fight. They're trying to start a fight with us.
And they're going to make a hero out of this loser yesterday. They're going to make him the John Brown of their movement. Watch what happens. They're going to call for more of him.